Hello guys, welcome to my channel, and you have already seen the thumbnail, so you know what we are going to do in this video. So in this video we are going to work on a CRUD based application using Spring Boot, Thymeleaf, PostgreSQL, and everything is going to be deployed in AWS. So we are going to have our own EC2, we are going to have our own relational database, and we will deploy our application manually to AWS and make it live. So this is what I have in the agenda for this video. If you are new to my channel, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel yet, please do. It's a simple thing to just hit that red colored subscribe button. That's it. Now let's kickstart this video. Alright, so before we actually work on the code, let's see what we are going to build. And this is the application, and as you can see here, this is on AWS, and this is the UI for that. Right now it is completely empty, so let's add something here. So let's say Full Metal Alchemist, rating as 5, thriller, suspense, what we can say. Let's add another anime, Death Note, and sorry, this should be suspense. Here again rating as 5. So as you can see, we can see all the animes here, and I can add it the rating here, something like 4.5, save it, and I can see it here. Right now I can also delete it. So this is what we have to build in this video. I think most of us are already aware about AWS and what basically it is. But let's quickly summarize and let's talk about in very simple terms, like what is AWS and what services are we going to use in this application. So AWS, in simple terms, imagine that you want to open a bakery and you have two choices: buy everything yourself, which is an oven, a building, staff, electricity. Second option is that you rent everything when you need it. Use someone else's kitchen, ovens and stuff, and just pay for the hours you use them. So AWS is like the second option, but for computers. Instead of buying your own expensive servers and setting them up, you rent computing power, storage, databases and other tools from Amazon through the internet. You only pay for what you use. So this makes life easy and bit cheap. Now, high level overview, AWS is a cloud computing platform, basically a huge collection of services that live on the internet and can be accessed anywhere. Here is the main idea: services on demand, which means instead of buying hardware, AWS gives you virtual computers you can turn on and off whenever you want. Then we have storage on demand, which is to store files, backups and databases without worrying about running out of space. Then we have tools for building apps, which AWS has ready-made services for AI, security, networking, streaming video, etc. So you have whole bunch of packages there and you can use pretty much anything. Now the main functionality is pay as you go. So this is like a utility bill, no long-term contracts, just pay for what you actually use. Now let's categorize AWS. Think of AWS like a giant online store for tech tools. Its main aisles are compute, which is for virtual machines, containers, and the service for this is EC2. Then we have storage for file storage, backups, and the service is S3. Then we have databases, which is to store and retrieve data quickly. And then we have services like RDS, DynamoDB, etc. For networking, you have services like VPC, CloudFront. Then for security, we have IAM, which is Identity and Access Management. Then you have developer tools like CI/CD monitoring tools, for which you have CodeBuild and CloudWatch. Then we have AI ML models also, and for this we have SageMaker service. Now in short, AWS is like renting a fully stocked, infinitely scalable tech factory instead of building your own from scratch. Now we are not going to use all these categories or all these services. We are just going to use EC2, Elastic Beanstalk, RDS, and let's talk about these services. So EC2 is for virtual computers which you can rent from AWS. Think of it like renting a powerful laptop or PC from Amazon that lives in their data center and you can log in from anywhere. Why it matters? You don't need to buy hardware. You can spin up a server in minutes and shut it down when you are done. Main uses are hosting websites, running applications, processing data, game servers, etc. We are not going to use EC2, but you can use EC2 for a larger application setup. What we are going to use is Elastic Beanstalk. So this is a service that takes your application code and automatically handles all the setup, for example, servers, scaling, and monitoring. Think of it like a set it and forget it oven, and you just put in the cake batter, in this case your code, and Beanstalk handles the baking, which is your deployment, scaling, and maintenance. Now why it matters? You don't need to manually configure EC2 or your storage or load balancers. AWS is going to do everything for you. Now main uses, I think this is pretty much clear, which is to quickly launch web apps without worrying about infrastructure details. So this is the reason why we are using Beanstalk. Now RDS is your relational database service. So a service where AWS runs and manages your relational database for you. Think of it like instead of buying a database server, installing software and worrying about backups, security and updates, you just rent a ready to use database from AWS. They handle the boring maintenance and you just need to focus on using it. Now why it matters? Databases are essential for every application. Think of storing user accounts, product info, orders, but managing them takes time and skill. RDS makes it easy and pretty much very reliable. Now main features is your automatic backups, high availability, security and scaling. Now there are a bunch of databases which RDS supports. We are going to go with PostgreSQL here. Now EC2 and Beanstalk both can be used for launching and basically deploying your application, but there is a basic difference. So EC2 gives you full control over everything, but Beanstalk has limited control because AWS manages infra. So here you have a quick deployment. In EC2 you pretty much have to set up everything, so this is going to take a lot of time. So that is why EC2 has a longer setup time, but for Beanstalk it is very short. Now for scaling you have to do manually, but Beanstalk can be automatically scaled depending on what feature you want to avail. Now maintenance, you have to do everything on EC2, but for Beanstalk AWS handles most of it. So EC2 is best for custom setups, complex application and basically a full grown real world application, but Beanstalk is just for quick deployment of standard apps or maybe proof of concepts. Alright, so enough about the theory. Now let's create an AWS account. Let's see how do we do that, and then we will proceed further. Alright, so this is the official website of AWS, and what you can do basically, you have these options. You can get started for free, right? And or you can create account here. If you already have the account, you can obviously sign in to console. So let's create an account. So what do you need? Basically you need an email address and the account name. So let's quickly do that. Alright, so I will be asked to basically provide a verification code. So let me do that quickly. Okay, so I got this mail in spam, and this can happen to you as well. So remember to check spam. Now let me put the verification code here. Alright, now it is asking me to provide a root user password and obviously confirm that password. So let me do that. Okay, so this was step 1. Now to sign up for AWS you need to choose the account plan. Obviously I'm not going to go with paid because we are learning, so let's go with free. So choose free plan. Now when you do that you will be asked for contact information. I would go for personal. Now you need to provide all of these information. You can be accurate and it's up to you. Let me provide that and then we will proceed ahead. Now this is mandatory to do. You cannot skip this one. So this is for verification, as you can see here, and they are not going to do anything because they are just going to deduct $1. Alright, so this is mandatory because they have to verify your user, and if you basically try to use any paid service or basically exceed your free service, in that case they will charge you. So you have to provide these details and I will guide you throughout the journey, so don't worry about it. So just quickly provide these details and then go to the next step. Now once you do that, you have to also provide the PAN number. So this is for billing again, so let's quickly do that. Alright, so now the verification is happening for me. So again, this is going to be same for you. Let's wait for it. Alright, so I have proceeded further. Now it is asking for confirmation of identity. So I would say personal use, ownership type is going to be individual, and basically you need to provide these details as a document. And just to let you know, I only got debited with 2 rupees, not more than that. So let's quickly provide these details and just click on continue. Alright, so I think so this is the second last step, and here you need to provide the mobile number and you will get the verification code. So let's do that. Now I'm waiting for the verification code. Alright, and the last step, and we are done. So we got congratulations, we are activating your account, which should take a few minutes. You will receive an email when this is complete. So they are activating it, but that doesn't mean that you cannot go to AWS management console. So let's click on this, and I got logged into EU North 1. You can change the region as per your need. So let me quickly change this to Asia Pacific Mumbai. Alright, so the services are region specific. So if you are on a particular region, you would see some hit and miss on the services. So basically for one region you would see less services, for one region you would see more services. So you need to check that out, but again, we are not going to go that extensively into AWS. This is just a quick overview. So let me basically guide you to the console. So here you have the console home, and when you click on this, you will see all the services that we have, and the first title is basically the category of that service. So like for database, we are going to go with RDS, which is this one, and we are not going to use S3, but this is for storage. Similarly for compute, you have EC2. Alright, so this is the way to see all the services. Then again you have this option, and here you can basically see all the recently visited services. If you scroll down, you have these many categories. Once you click on any category, you would see options like this. You can favorite your services and they will appear here. And again, if you have applications, you would see here, and the services are listed here. This is your search bar. You can search for anything. Let's say if I want to search for Beanstalk, so this is your Elastic Beanstalk, and this is the part where you have to basically navigate to the services. You have the Cloud Shell here, which we are not going to use here. Then you have the Cloud Shell here as well. You have the notifications here. If you basically have any notifications enabled or by default, they will appear here. So right now we don't have any. And you have the settings option for basically filter this one in a way that you like. Now the region, I have told you, this is basically according to your need. I have set it up to Mumbai because I am in India, so this is basically easier for me. And the details for you are here. So credits remaining $100. This is free of cost, and you can avail these many credits. Right now I'm not availing any services or using any services, so I'm still yet to spend $100. Days remaining 185 days. So this doesn't mean that that there is a amount limit only. There is a days limit only. So if you exceed this one, you don't have free access anymore. Alright, now I think we are all sort with the demo part. So let's quickly create one application and then deploy it on Elastic Beanstalk. Alright. Alright, so now let's quickly generate our project and let's see how it will behave. So the default Spring Boot version for me is 3.5.4, but as we already know that Spring Boot has launched a new version, Spring Boot 4. So I'm going to go with this snapshot version, and let's name this as hello world because we are going to keep this simple. And what do we need? We need Spring Web because we want to showcase a UI, and for UI you would need Thymeleaf, and we don't need nothing else as of now. This is pretty much very simple. So click on generate and just double click on it. Alright, now let's import this into your favorite IDE, and in my case I'm going to go with IntelliJ. So downloads, hello world, open. Alright, so this is pretty much very empty. So what do we need? First is that we would go to Java and create a controller. So let's do controller here and create a new class, hello controller. Alright, now let's annotate this with controller. So here we are going to have a get mapping. So public string hello world, and this is going to be a get mapping mapped to this, and here we are simply going to return hello. That's it. Now in the pom.xml we have Thymeleaf added. So Thymeleaf basically is going to, so with Thymeleaf you would have so with Thymeleaf you would have hello.html page, and Spring Boot basically map this hello with your hello.html page, so you don't have to explicitly provide HTML in the name. So where do we have to place this file? We have to go to template and create an HTML file. Let's name this home.html, and here we won't do much. Here we will say just title as hello world, and inside body we would have h2, and let's say hello world, I'm in AWS. Alright, so this is it. Now what we need is, let's try to run this application. Let's see how it behaves locally first. So the application is running on port 8080. So localhost 8080, and we are getting an error. Okay, so let's scroll up. Let's see what is the cause. Okay, so I have home.html and here I have hello, so that is the cause. So let's change this to home. Alright, now let's refresh and we are done. Hello world, I am in AWS. Now let's deploy this application. Alright, so I'm logged into my console. Now what we need to do is we need to go to Elastic Beanstalk and create an application. So this is going to be a web server environment. You need to give it a name. So hello world. Now I'm going to leave this domain empty, but you can choose any. So for example, hello world AWS, and you can click on check availability to see if this URL is available. So I'm going to keep this empty for now. Now talking about platform, as you know, this is Java, so running on 21, and you can leave this with the default version. Now application code, we are going to provide that, so we need to upload. Now for this upload there needs to be a label, so let's say hello world, and we need to provide this using local file. So what do? Let's stop this application, go to Maven lifecycle. So as you can see we have target folder already, so let's clean this up. Now it's not there anymore. Now let's run package, and if I go to target I can see that I have this snapshot jar. Ignore this one, this is your jar. Now choose file, downloads, target, and choose this one. Now click on next. Now we will be prompted with service role, EC2 instance role, and EC2 key pair role. This is optional, but these two are a must. So by default you would not have any role, service role. This service role is for Elastic Beanstalk only. And then for EC2, because Beanstalk indirectly uses EC2, so for that as well you need a role. So if you don't have it, just click on this create role and keep everything as default. So this says that the entity type is AWS service and not anything else, because this role is for Elastic Beanstalk, right? That's why we have Elastic Beanstalk in this service or use case drop down. Now keep this at environment level, not at compute level. Click on next. These are the permission policies which are being chosen for you by default. You don't need to set anything for perm boundary. Click on next. Now you can see what it is going. Now you can see what AWS is going to create for you. This is your trust policy and these are your permissions. Click on create role. So if the role is already existed with the same name, it will prompt you with an error. So let's say new, create role. Alright, so the role is created and we can see it here. Similarly for EC2 instance profile, you can create the role in the same way. Just go with the default selection for now. Click on next, next, create role. Again the error, so type in new, create role, and you can see two new roles now. This is your Elastic Beanstalk EC2 role and this is your service role. Sorry, this is your service role. Now going back, you can choose among these, but here you don't see the new roles. So for that you just need to hit this refresh button and you would see the new roles. Alright, now click on next. Now you don't have to change anything here, just keep it default. Keep clicking on next, next, and create. Now this is going to take some time. So here if you see these tabs, this is your event, health, logs, monitoring, alarms, and managed update tags. So let me guide you. So this events is very crucial. Whatever is happening on AWS right now is going to get printed here. So right now Elastic Beanstalk is launching your application, and to launch your environment basically they will have to do certain steps, and each step is going to get printed one by one. So as you can see, created security group, and similarly they will do everything. So the health currently spending, this should turn to OK as in green, and if you go to health again you would see an entry here with the status OK. This instance ID is for your EC2. Now going back to logs, you would not see anything here, but first you need to request for it. So you can click on full. If there are any logs you will get that, but for me the EC2 instance is not yet created, so I would not see any logs. Now you have this metrics for monitoring. Right now there is nothing because we haven't created anything yet and neither used. For alarms, you can set up new alarms based on what you want to do and what you want to check in this environment. Then these are your histories, basically what you have done in Beanstalk. And then tags. So these tags basically state certain values. So these you can use according to your functionality. Now this is your environment ID. Platform says that we are using Java 21 on 64-bit Linux, right? So yeah, let's wait for it to get completed and then we will talk about more. Alrighty, so as you can see, environment successfully launched. The health is turned okay, and the last event is successfully launched event, hello world env. Application available at this URL. So basically this is the domain URL and this is your EC2 instance ID. So if you go to health, and you can see that this is our EC2 instance ID and the status is okay, right? So you can click on it as well and then you will be navigated to the EC2 view. So this is your instance and you can see pretty much everything: public IP address, private IP address, IAM role which we have created just now, right? Then if you go to tabs, so we have details, status and alarms, monitoring, security. For security you would see a security group. Then we have networking, storage, tags. All right, now let's quickly go back and hit this URL to see if our application is working fine. So by default you would get 502 bad gateway for Nginx because this Nginx is not using 8080 as default port, and your Spring Boot by default uses port 8080. So what to do? Let's quickly go to application.properties and here let's specify spring.port equals to 5000. So how do I know that this is the port which Nginx is looking for? So there is a quick way to validate that. So if you go to logs again, last 100 lines, and you can download this. Now this is your std out and you can see that application started on port 8080 successfully. Alright, so this is all good. Now if you scroll down a bit, you have access log where you are getting 502 and this is one time that we did. That's why we are seeing it one time only. If I would have tried it multiple times, then we would have multiple entries here. That is what access log does. Now if you come to error log, this is where main stuff is. So if you see this line, so get HTTP upstream is at 5000 port, but this 5000 port is not enabled, as in connection is getting refused, which is why we are getting 502 bad gateway. So what do? We basically switch our application to port 5000 and let's clean this and run this again and we are good. Now you can redeploy your application anytime, anywhere and as many times as you want. So just click on this upload and deploy, choose file. You can keep on changing the version. That would be very good in terms of identifying in which version you found the issue and in which version you solved that issue. Now this label is automatically generated for you. The original label was hello world and it will keep incrementing it depending on how many uploads you do. Now click on deploy. Now this will again take some time. If you go to events again, you can see that the environment updates is starting. So till you see successful message here, you have to wait. Now if you see here, we have actions and you can abort the current operation as well if you see there is a mistake or there has been a mistake done by you. So you can abort this operation and retry it again. Now I got the successful message. Also I got this here. If I refresh this, I can see that the health is okay. So checking health is very crucial because if it is not okay, you won't see your application running for sure. Alright, now you can click on this URL again, or you can hit this one more time. So I'm still seeing 502 bad gateway. Let's go to logs again. So these are the old ones and this is the new one. So in the error log, this is the previous one and this I'm getting again. Okay, so I made a mistake here. This should be server.port. I think you already knew this and you didn't tell me. Anyways, yeah, uh, my bad. Okay, let's do it for the last time. But now you know how to debug any issue if you face these issues in your AWS. Now this is number 2. Now if you check here, the current running version is hello world 1, but it should be hello world 2. So this also will get updated whenever you redeploy your application. And as you can see here, it is turned to hello world 2 and the deployment is successful. So let's refresh and hello world, I'm in AWS. So this is working fine and we are all set with the process, like how should we deploy. Now this is not your full-fledged application. Again, what we are going to work on in this video is not going to be a full-fledged application, but still it's a UI based application, so it would give you enough information about how you can start with your application from scratch. So we have most of the things set up, but the only thing remaining is your database. So for that you need to go to relational database. Now go to databases. I already have one database in place, so let me delete this one. So while it is deleting, let's create another database. When you click on create database, you would be provided with options standard create or easy create. So go with easy create and choose the configuration whatever you prefer. We are going to go with PostgreSQL here, and there is only one option for free tier, and I'm going to give it a name database 1. In this case I would have only one database. If this is not deleted as of now, then this will not be created, right? So the username is going to be Postgre, and similarly we are going to use the same as password to keep things simple. Now confirm password again, and you don't need anything else. So just click on create database. Okay, so as you can see here, the old database has been deleted successfully. So this name is completely free now. So alright, so what you can do is basically you can just click on databases again, refresh. So here also it says that successfully deleted database. Now we just need to click on this create database and it's created. So it will take some time for you to create that database. So we have some suggestions for add-ons. I would suggest not to use them because you are just starting with AWS, so don't go that deep into it. But again, you can learn on these concepts and basically use it, because this is going to enhance your functionality with database. So again, if you are working on a simple application, there is no usability with those add-ons. So yeah, so now it is taking some time. Similarly, what we have seen in the environment creation as well for Beanstalk, so this can take some time. Alright, so as you can see here, the database has been created successfully and I can see the successful connection details here. You can click on this pop-up as well to see the details, but I'm simply going to close this. You just need to click on database 1 and you can see that we have the connectivity details here, right? So you have the endpoint and the port and VPC security group here. Now the thing to notice is that even if you try to connect using this endpoint, you won't be able to, because the publicly accessible is set as no and then you have to enable inbound rules for this security group. So this is PostgreSQL. So for this you would need pgadmin4 application to connect to the database. So even if I try to connect to this database, I wouldn't be able to, but let me show you what error we will get. So let's give it a name. So Spring AWS DB, and in the connection we just need to, now this is our endpoint, so simply copy this and come back here, paste it here. Now the database name is Postgre, the username is Postgre, similarly the password is Postgre. Now you can click on save password, and when you click on save, it will take some time, but eventually it will fail saying connection timeout. So as you can see here, unable to connect to server, connection timed out, expired. First thing first is to set this to yes, and for this you just need to click on modify, scroll down a bit, scroll down more, and you would see additional configuration here. So this is the public accessibility, you need to enable it, and once you do that, scroll down more and click on continue. Now there is a schedule modification option applied during the next scheduled maintenance window, which I would not suggest because this is not immediate. You need to use apply immediately and then click on modify DB instance. So once you do that, you will see this green option that it is successfully modified and you are good. But unfortunately there is one more thing that we need to do is security group. So let me open it up in a new tab. So this is your security group, which is in your EC2. So everything whatever you are doing is inside your EC2. So click on this security group and you would see inbound rules and outbound rules. So outbound rules is basically allowed to all, but inbound rules is also allowed to. Now when you click on edit inbound rules, you can see that this is for PostgreSQL and this is allowed for everyone. So ideally this should be good. So this I recently changed. Initially you would not see any PostgreSQL port here. I added it because I'm using the same EC2 instance, so I'm referring to that here. But in your case you would not see that. So what you need to do is click on edit inbound rules, delete the existing one, create add rules. Instead of type custom TCP, scroll down a bit, choose your database, and in the custom use anywhere IPv4. Alright, so this is for IPv4 and I think this is going to suffice the functionality, but you can also add IPv6 for more coverage, right? So when you do that, just click on save rules, and as you can see, inbound security group rules successfully modified, and you can see both of these two rules allowed here. Let me try the password again. Not sure, I think that's the issue. Save password and voila. So password was the issue. Now I'm in, and if I go to my databases, I would see the default databases. I logged into this one, Postgre RDS admin is there for me. Now I would love to create one database for my application, and this would be AnimeDB. So the idea is that I would have my own list of favorite animes, which basically I can create, add, update, delete, or see all the list of my favorite animes. So that is the idea, and here we are going to do CRUD operations, and for which we are going to use JPA. So we will talk about application further, but this database is going to hold anime list, my favorite anime list. So if you go to schemas, if you go to tables, you don't see anything. We won't create anything manually. We would love to create these tables using our code. In our case, there would be only one table. Now we are done with our database. Now let's generate one more project, and this would be favorite anime. Alright, let's remove this space from here, and we are going to keep everything same. Spring Web Thymeleaf. The only additions is going to be that we are going to use PostgreSQL here, and when we are going to use PostgreSQL, in that case we would require JP as well. Now let's generate this project and double click on it, and we are good. Now coming back here, we don't require this anymore. Let me minimize few things. File, open, and downloads, this window. Alrighty. Now the first thing first is that we need to have a database connection. So for that we need to go to application.properties. Now the first thing is that we would use port 8080 by default, but in AWS we need to use port 5000. So let me comment this line for now, and this we will use later, server.port 5000. Now we would require certain database connection details, as in your data source connection details. So this is going to be your database connection. So here you need to place your database connection as in your endpoint. This is the default port, the type of the database, and the database name. These you know already, we have kept it very simple. Now going back to database, copy this endpoint again and simply place it here. Alright, now we are done with our data source connection details. Now we have to have some JPA connection details. So these are JPA connection as in JPA properties. So the first property is stating that whenever I rerun my application, don't create the tables and overwrite the data inside those tables. Just update the existing configuration if there is any update. This is going to display the SQL, this is going to format that SQL, and this specifies that we are going to use PostgreSQL here. So not much, pretty much simple here, right? So we are done with our application.properties. Now the thing is that you would need a service layer and a repo layer to connect to this database. So let's quickly create those packages. So the first is going to be a repo, and second we need service. So ideally we would see service and service implementation packages, but here we are simply making this as a beginner friendly application, so that's why I'm not going that deep into conventionals, so never mind that. So this is going to be your service layer. Now repo is very simple, you don't do much, you just create an interface, and this is going to be your anime repo. So you can try, you can opt to annotate this with repository annotation, but that's not mandatory. But this is JPA repository. So here you need to provide the type of the object on which you are going to do CRUD operations. So that would be anime. We don't have this class yet, so let's quickly create that. Entity. So this is your table and a Pojo class. Now let's annotate this with entity annotation. Now what do we need? First is that we need ID. Second we need name or the title of that anime. Then we need rating for that anime, so this is for me, and lastly genre. Now we would require a constructor, an empty no argumented constructor. Let's make this public, and then we would also need a constructor with arguments. Lastly, we would need setters and getters. And we are done with a Pojo as in our entity. Why are we seeing an error? Because here we need to import this. Alright, so you are done with your repo as well. Now coming to service layer, let's create a class. So this would be anime service. Now this we need to annotate with service, otherwise your Spring Boot will not be able to recognize. So let's create an instance of anime repo, otherwise you would not be able to use your CRUD operations, right? So private anime repo, and to create an instance of it, you need to auto-wire this, and Spring Boot will handle everything from here. Now we need certain methods here. I'm not going to write everything, but I'll just simply copy paste because I have the code ready with me, and then I'll explain like why we have these. Alright, so these are the methods that we would need. So these are your CRUD operations. These two are your get, as in your read operations. This is your create operation. This is your update, and this one is your delete operation. And I have made a lot of CRUD operations videos using Spring Boot. So if you are working on it for the very first time, then just watch those videos. I have been very descriptive about every detail, so you can watch those videos. Now these are your operations, but to use those operations we would require a controller class. So let's quickly create a package, and let's create a class. So we have to annotate this with controller annotation. Now here we would require anime service object. Let's auto-wire this. Now again we would need mappings here, which are basically going to call your operations, CRUD operations. Okay, so I'm deleting this mapping. Let's comment this one out. I'll tell you why we are commenting this, but these are your operations basically. So the first is your listing all your animes, which is get operation. This is to show the form, as in the UI, where you can basically create a new anime. Once you are done creating that anime, you have to hit a button, and that button will redirect you to this one to save it actually in the database. And similarly we have edit form separately, a different UI, and once you are done updating the existing anime, then you would come here in this update anime mapping, and then lastly you have delete mapping. Now if you notice here, it requires a lot of UI pages, not a lot of, but 3 UI pages. So let me quickly create those. So first is your list.html, second is form.html. I think, yeah, these are the two. So form.html is going to be generic between your add operation and update operation. So we are going to make it dynamic, but let's first talk about list.html, and let me copy the code and paste it here, then we will talk about it. Alright, so if you see here, this is the button to create a new anime, which is at the very top. So when you click on this, you will be prompted and guided to a new UI page. This is a basic table which basically says that whatever you get in the whatever you have in the database will get displayed here. So let me format this a bit. Right, so here in the last column you have this actions column. Inside that action column you would see 2 buttons. So first button is to edit that particular row, and the second action is to delete that particular row. So this makes UI very simple. Alright, so with delete you would not see any UI, but a prompt message kind of a thing, like are you sure, do you want to delete, something like that. And with edit you will be guided to a separate UI page, which is your form.html. So let's quickly add the code here. Let me copy it. Alright, so this is the form, and if you see, these are the 2 things which makes this form dynamic between add new anime and update anime. So here basically what I'm doing is, let me format this a bit. So here what I'm doing is, I'm basically checking if anime ID is null. If it is null, this means that this is coming for the very first time, as in this is a new anime which you want to create in the database. So this should be null. In that case, I'm using add new anime as the heading. Similarly, if someone saves this form, then he will be guided to this mapping, right? But if the anime ID is not null, in that case it is already in the database and we are doing an update operation, so this is going to get printed in the heading and the user will be guided to this mapping of update operation. All right, so yeah, I think we are done with this. Now what should we do? We should run this code and see if it is able to create a table in the database and if we are able to see the data operations working perfectly. So what to do? Just run this application and let's wait for it. Okay, so we got the error. Let's scroll up. So it says that anime has no identifier. Okay, that's obvious. If we go to anime.java, here we need to provide this with ID and generated value, strategy, identity. All right, now we should be good. Okay, so if you see here, this is why we have enabled the logging of SQL, right? So if you see here, we got the database URL, and this basically state that the connection was successful, and once it was successful, JPS started making changes to your database. So it has created a table and this is the DDL for that, and once everything was done, your application got started, right? Now let's quickly check what is happening with our application. So localhost 8080, refresh, and we got nothing. Why? Because we are at the wrong mapping. We should go to animes. Alright, so we are in the UI and this is your home page. So when you click on add new anime, you have a new page. Alright, so you need to provide the name of the anime. Let's go with Naruto. Rating as, I would say, out of 5, I would say 4.5. It was pretty good. And the genre is going to be shonen. You can also say action. I don't know why autocorrect is really weird today. Now click on save and it says enter a valid value. Going back to format.html, here we have type as number. So here we need to add one more thing, which is step equals to any. Let's restart our application. Refresh this page. Provide the details one more time. And you got it. So we have our first row with the details of Naruto 4.5 and shonen. If you see, the columns are wrong, so let's update that. So in the list.html there should be name, and the second one would be your rating. Alright, so now we have it. Now let's check if we have the table in database. So we have the table. Let's see if we got the data. So view all rows and we can see the data here, right? Now let's do all the other operations. Click on add it. Instead of providing it a rating of 4.5, let's do 4.6. Let's say I love it even more. And you can see that we have 4.6 here. If you see, the titles here are wrong because we have to rerun the application, and when you delete this you are prompted with this. When you click on OK, you can see that we don't have anything here. So this means that our application is working fine and we should be good, and we can basically deploy this application in AWS. Now let's stop this application, and remember that this is commented, so let's uncomment this. And currently we would see some failures in the UI because of this, so let me uncomment this and we will talk about it so that we don't have to rebuild our application. So let's go to lifecycle, clean, and then package. So meanwhile this is getting generated, we should clean everything up from our beanstalk. So thing is, with free tier you get some limited hours like 750 hours of usage, and I would suggest that always create a single environment and a single application along with a single database. Don't create many because it can cost you. So yeah, remember that. So this is my first environment. So I'll just simply terminate this environment, and to do that I have to pass in value like this and click terminate. So this can take some time. Let's go to applications and delete this one as well. So we can always use the same environment but a different application, but as you know, this environment is for hello world, so that is why I'm deleting it and recreating it again so that we have some clarity, and you can also see how we can delete environment and application once you are done with your use case. So let's wait for it. Once it is done, then we'll proceed ahead. Alright, so the application is deleted, and let's go back to environment, and it shows unknown, and I think we should be good. So let's create environment. This can, so AWS can meanwhile delete the application and the environment, sorry, the environment. So the application name would be my anime list, and the domain would be my anime list. Platform would be Java. Upload your code, my anime list, local file, and we did created one, right? So upload this one. Alright, now we are done. Click on next. Now for the role and instance profile, we are going to go with the same one. You can use any if you have multiples. Click on next again, next again, next, and create. Now again, as you know, this can take some time, so let it be. Alrighty, so as you can see here, the environment has been transitioned from pending to OK. So looks like we are almost done, and yeah, we are done. Environment successfully launched. So if I click on this, you can see that we have the application up and running. Now remember when I told you that we need to comment this out for now, and I'll explain later. So what is this doing? So this mapping is default mapping. So whenever you hit any URL like localhost 8080, you get here by default, right? But I needed to get here anyways. So that's why we have this return statement that whenever the person is landing on the home page, redirect that person to this mapping. So that is what is happening here in the UI. So we haven't made any sort of modification or configuration changes here. Everything is good, and you can also check the logs and events, but we are able to see the application up and running. So now let's see ID, name, rating, genre, action. So everything is proper. Now again, let's do Naruto 4.5 shonen and hit save. Now we can edit this to 4. Let's say 5 this time and save it. Yeah, rating is done. Now we can delete it and we are done. So this is the functionality that I wanted to showcase in this video. I really hope that you got something wonderful out of this video. Alright, so this was it for this video. I really hope that you loved the content what I tried to showcase here. If you did, don't forget to like this video, share this video to your friends, colleagues, whomsoever you want, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That's a simple thing. And I really hope that I will meet you in some another video. Till then, stay happy, keep learning, and bye bye.